when a lone tomb guard in full ceremonial uniform stepped off the plane, escorting the flag-draped casket of a fallen brother in arms. No one expected airport staff to block his path, but what happened next turned an ordinary terminal into hallowed ground. Stay with this emotional roller coaster to the end, and don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories of silent heroes. Asterisk. It began on a rainy Thursday morning when Sergeant First Class Daniel Reeds, an elite tomb guard from the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment known as the Old Guard, stepped off a quiet flight into Denver International Airport. The weight of duty and loss pressing against his chest harder than the thick ceremonial breastplate on his uniform. He wasn't on vacation, wasn't traveling for training, wasn't coming home to family, but rather escorting a fellow sentinel, Staff Sergeant Marcus Clay, soldier who had once shared Reed's 21-step vigil in front of the tomb of the unknown soldier and had now fallen in a training accident overseas. His remains lying silent beneath the folds of the American flag that Reeds now carried like a sacred vow, yet as Reeds approached the connecting terminal with solemn purpose. 2 airport staffers intercepted him brusquely, seemingly more concerned with policy than honor. One saying, "Sir, can't walk through here dressed like that with a casket. It's against protocol unless cleared through admin," and the other adding with a frustrated sigh, "Security's already tight. We can't just let anyone in full gear parade through. Passengers are nervous enough." Which stopped Reeds in his tracks and sent a wave of silent outrage rippling through a nearby family who had overheard the confrontation. Reeds, composed yet visibly strained, calmly explained, "This soldier gave everything to this nation, and I have orders to escort him with dignity. Not through a cargo route like lost luggage, but the staffers, bound by red tape or perhaps ignorance, insisted on rerouting him through a restricted service corridor at that moment." The unthinkable happened, as Reeds hesitated, looking down at the coffin draped in stars and stripes with a gaze that could pierce stone. A low voice behind him spoke with measured steel, "That man walks the main gate with his brother, or nobody walks at all." And the terminal turned to see 4 men standing still, as statues but radiating quiet force, each one clad in civvies but unmistakably carved from the same stone as warriors. U.S. Navy SEALs who had just returned from a separate mission, and had seen enough to know sacred ground when they stood on it. The tallest among them stepped forward and gently placed a hand on Reed's shoulder, nodding not just in support but in reverence, while another turned to the staff and said, "You want a security clearance? Try explaining to the American people why you made a tomb guard sneak through the back door with a fallen hero." And just like that, something shifted. Passengers paused mid-call. TSA agents stopped scanning bags, and even a toddler fell silent. As the entire terminal became a church of memory, heavy with the weight of collective respect, unsure how to respond, the staffers radioed a supervisor. But word spread faster than clearance codes, and soon airport police arrived, not to halt the procession, but to flank it, escorting Reeds and the SEALs like an honor guard as the casket was slowly rolled through the heart of the terminal, every step echoing like the beat of a distant drum, every face turning toward the silent flag with reverence, tears welling up in eyes young and old, some placing hands over hearts, others saluting through sobs, as if the entire building had remembered its soul. What none of them knew was that Marcus Clay had once saved an entire Afghan village from a Taliban raid, choosing to stay behind and hold the line so evac helicopters could lift out civilians. He had been nominated posthumously for the Distinguished Service Cross, but his greatest honor was still ahead. As the crowd at Gate C-27, initially frustrated over delay, stood to witness what no news the outlet covered, a nation's silent apology. And yet the story twisted once more, for among the passengers was Clay's estranged father, a retired Marine who hadn't spoken to his son in 5 years due to a bitter falling out over military politics. He had come not to reconcile, but out of guilt, hoping just to see his son one last time from a distance. Unaware that fate had conspired to trap him in the very terminal where his boy would return home draped in glory and silence. And when he saw the procession, he didn't recognize Reeds, but he recognized the medals on the casket and the battle, scars in the SEAL's eyes, and something in him broke, like an old dam. And he collapsed to his knees, whispering, "Forgive me, son," over and over, drawing the attention of Reeds, who paused the march just briefly, stepped to the father, and handed him one of the spent shell casings from the ceremonial salute they had performed before boarding, whispering, "He forgave you the moment he left. He just never got the chance to say it." And the older man sobbed into the flag, not as a stranger, but as a father reclaimed by grief and grace. The silence broke finally, not with noise, but with song, as a nearby veteran group, witnessing the scene unfold, broke into "God Bless America" in cracked voices that somehow harmonized with the pain and beauty of the moment, and soon the terminal became a choir of strangers, bound by nothing but reverence, singing softly as Reeds resumed his solemn walk, the SEALs never flinching, the staffers now standing at attention, their earlier resistance washed away by the power of pure, unspoken honor. And when Reeds finally reached the tarmac where the hearse awaited, he paused one last time, placed his hand gently on the casket, and whispered, "You are home, brother," before turning to salute in crisp, ceremonial form, held for a full 60 seconds while the SEALs did the same, creating a tableau that would forever live in the hearts of those who witnessed it. Phones had recorded it all by now, not for clout, but to preserve something holy in a world that so often forgets its heroes, and the footage went viral within hours, not because of shock value, but because it was truth, a raw, unfiltered glimpse of honor, brotherhood, sacrifice, redemption, and the quiet storm of grace that can turn a sterile airport terminal into sacred ground. And so the fallen was laid to rest with full honors. Reeds returned to his post at Arlington and the 4 SEALs, though they vanished as quietly as they had appeared, left behind a legacy not of war but of silence, service, and the day they made America remember what real respect looks like. So the next time you pass through an airport, you see a man in uniform walking alone beside a flag-draped coffin, remember that is not a man, that is a nation, mourning, would you? Like a full SEO package for this story as well, with title variants, hashtags, keywords, and video push tips,